So thank you. So I think as Dr. Kavita has very aptly named the IC, to think like there is no box, or to realize that there is no box. So I think this is for this IC is aimed for freshly trained corneal surgeons coming into practice, and what tips and what experience we can share with them depending on how to set up a practice and what things they can do. So in this brief talk, I'll be just sharing my personal experience with iBanking, which started in 2005 when I was so impressed with the LBP iBank, which I had seen during my short-term fellowship. And so that when I came back, I quickly revamped our iBank, sent a technician for training, got the laminar flow. Eventually, in 3-4 years, arranged funds for the iBank special microscope, started attempting HCRP programs, started approaching NGOs. So there was a lot of effort and time which was required uh, from my clinical practice to put in to create some awareness, to put to connect with people. And doing all of that, I think I would say we could reach a collection of, let's say, around 20 to 25 eyes per year in a city of Ahmedabad. So it was a huge amount of effort that had to be put in, but it did not kind of convert into a lot of eye donations, despite Gujarat being a very proactive uh, per se. Individually, there are no restrictions as such from people. People do not have any hindrances. They themselves want to donate. So the basic drawback I felt was that we couldn't connect with good HCRP programs, because that is where the key is. That is where the success of the most iBank lies. And like you can see, in 2020, we had zero tissue collections. And this is just, we cannot discuss about iBanking in India without mentioning Professor GN Rao. I think he's made a world of a difference in the way iBanking has changed in India in the last 20 years. And this is, I think I covered this part. So I'll skip to the fourth slide. Uh, so this was the journey for my iBanking, and this is what I was mentioning about Professor GN Rao, uh, who has done so much for iBanking in India. This is one of his articles from this year, January 2021, in which he still mentions that it is still evolving and still a long way to go in India. So you can, despite the advances, we can get an idea that we are still a long way off. And just to give you a perspective, there are actually 740 eye banks and eye donation centers registered with the EBAI in India. But out of these, if you can see, there are only 15 eye banks, which constitute just maybe 50, which contributed more than half of the total collection in India. So this is just to give you a perspective that although we have so many registered eye banks, we are not actually able to convert them or utilize them, or use them to the best advantage. So what are the reasons for that? I think we'll quickly go back to that, but first we need to understand what are the major indications of corneal transplant, because that also gives us an idea as to what sort of tissues are needed in our country. So this is one of the articles from 2019, which was a very nicely conducted survey from various eye banks based on 2014 data. So which tells us that a majority of transplants in India are for active infections, for therapeutic grafts, whatever said and done, and the rest form, the rest of it, PBK, healed keratitis, failed graft. And if you look at other dystrophies, they form a very small percentage. Although this data is from 2014, I would expect some of the lamellar surgeries would have gone up by now, but still, it does give us an idea about the same. And this is what you can see. The optical PKP is therapeutic. It constitutes almost 40-50%. So we need eye banks which can provide us tissues for these indications first. And then based on the need for lamellar grafts, for DSEC, DALC, and others, then those needs would come up. So this is just to give you a perspective of what is needed in our country. So whenever you start a practice, and just to give a comparative, I got this figures from the LVP iBank. They were of 2017-18, and they also give you a fair idea about sorry, yeah, that you can see, you can give an idea that still again scarring and microbial keratitis forms the major chunk. So thanks to this all these this background, I think now we have a fantastic coordination between the Eye Bank Association of India and an NGO called as SightLife, and they have started the corneal distribution system, which was started in 2010-11, in which we did some pilot studies, and they connected few eye banks, as I showed you earlier, that there are 15 eye banks which have excess tissues which contribute. So they connected with them, upgraded them, trained their staff, and then started diverting tissues. So this is just a rough flowchart of how it works. It's run by professionals who are full time looking into the coordination between the corneal surgeon and the eye banks. And this has totally changed the way a corneal surgeon who, after his fellowship, goes to a city. Earlier, they had to set up an eye bank or set up a eye donation center to start off their corneal practice. A lot of earlier 15, 20, 30 years back, a lot of fellowship trained corneal surgeons could not do corneal transplants for the first 2, 3 years of their practice after coming back because there were no tissues. And now with the advent of the CDS system and the tissues, the culture mediums, the tissue preservation mediums, we are able to start off the practice fast. The second thing which I will be touching in the next 2 slides is there's a long list of requirements for setting up an eye bank in India. So these are the things which are required. So which also takes up a lot of time and effort and getting other people. And if you still wish to start, maybe in your area you do not have, I would suggest that I've made a small URL up there, which is easy to follow. If you click on it, it will lead you to this standards of eye banking document, which is by the Ministry of Health Affairs, health, yeah, and by the National Program for Control of Blindness, which has a huge list of things which are requirements, guidelines, standards, and it will also give you phone numbers and indications of which state you are in, what are the eye banks that are, which ones can you tie up with. You will get a good idea of that. So I think this would be a good starting point. This is the objective of the document that they want to. This would be ideal that you have 2,000 eye donation centers with 30, 40 eye banks who are really good, and then maybe a few eye bank training centers. So this would be the ideal number which would be required, and they would need to tie up with large hospitals in metros who have a mortality rate of more than 50 per month, and that would give us enough tissues to deal with. So these are the few things which I wanted to share. And the other aspect is that there are each state has a different rule to it because it is governed by the state health authority. So you will need to check in your state. Earlier, some states had rules that you had to have an eye bank along with the corneal transplant center. Fortunately, most of them have progressed with the efforts of the Eye Bank Society of India. Uh, but I would say that it takes a lot of effort. So if you are able to do that, if you have that background, please go ahead and do that. Set up a hospital corneal retrieval program parallel to it. Now coming back to the training of the eye bank technician. Suppose you have a good eye bank setup, and if you can afford. So this is a very good eye bank in Mumbai, which Dr. Kavita Rao has been able to give us a video in which you can see the eye banks do provide tissues to various surgeons within the city. So they are catering to multiple surgeons. So they have all the equipment, the laminar flow, the instrumentation set for dissecting the cornea, for dissect, the pachymeter, and they are well trained in doing so, just like corneal surgeons. So they need to know how to handle the tissue, what are the drawbacks. So it takes a lot of effort to put in that training as well, which can be done, no doubt, but it should be directed in places where there is a lot of flow of tissues, and then they can catering to many corneal surgeons, because then only it would make sense to do that. So this is just to give you a brief overview of that. DMEC tissue harvesting is very inexpensive, but it has a steep learning curve to it. So even for corneal surgeons, it takes a while for them to get a hang over it and do it. But this is something which, if you have an established eye bank and you have a eye bank technician, then yes, I think at LV Prasad, at Ramaya International Eye Bank, they have fantastic technicians. They have lots of tissues, and they are training. They've already trained them for harvesting these tissues. They're also training them to harvest Bowman's membrane transplants and other things as well. So one needs to find out where it is possible, whether there is enough flow for it. I'll go ahead with these videos. So basically, to sum it up, I think you can set up a lamellar dissection in your eye bank as well, but you would need to justify the costs for it. It's very expensive. The cost of the instrumentation is anywhere between 15 to 25 lakhs, plus every time you would need to spend for the blade for the keratome, just like in LASIK. So it adds to the cost. So unless you have enough tissues and enough surgeons who need pre-cut tissue, then only it would be beneficial to spend that effort and money. DMEC, yes, but then again, we need that critical number of corneal surgeons who do DMEC and who would require DMEC tissues, quickly. They have a lot of surgeries to do. So this was just a rough estimate I was making, that if this would make sense, if you are doing more than 700-800 transplants a year, you are a single surgeon, or more than two, then it would be a busy corneal transplant hospital. But for that, you would need at least a collection of more than 1500, because as we know, all of them may not be utilized for optical purposes, or unless you have a good grant from a donor and you can afford the machines, then yes, then of course, then you can go ahead and set it up, and also cater to other doctors and surgeons within the city. So as a corneal surgeon, I believe now, after almost 15, 16 years of practice, that we are final consumers of the tissue. We are a corneal surgeon is a very highly skilled and a limited resource. So we should try and spend time doing surgeries, spending our time with the patients, and we should leave the corneal tissue collection, the other, the evaluation, the eye banking to other professionals. So that should be the final aim. How you go about it in your practice, in your clinic, is something that you can just pick out from whatever we have just discussed, and then gradually decide what is the best way to move ahead. Thank you very much.